Ready?
Yeah, ready.
Always ready.
Ready, steady.
Done this before, haven't
Yeah, all the time.
I? Every day.
Yeah,
It's a
every
day job.
weekend. This is actually my podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Plant Code podcast. I'm Max, and today's guest might look quite familiar to quite a lot of you, and I'm very excited to have her back. She is a CrossFit trainer here in Dubai and an amazing person that you can find on Instagram at Bron the Vegan, and also another account where you show a lot of food and tasty stuff. Had some amazing pancakes this morning as well, so definitely check out her recipes. I'll put the links to that down below. Bron, welcome back to the Plant Code podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure, as always. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about CrossFit and get into that, because it seems to be a craze that's growing as fast, if not faster, than vegan. I saw that there are 4 million people worldwide doing CrossFit today. So what is it?
Well, I think a lot of people don't fully understand what CrossFit is, and they can get a little intimidated by what it is. They see what's going on the media, on YouTube, and I think they can be a bit overwhelmed by it. I know that's the case with me. Like, I didn't even give it a thought. I was like, oh, it's just a bunch of people, super competitive, like, how much can I lift, how fast can I move? And I was like, oh, this is just not my thing at all. Basically, to like cut it down to the basics, CrossFit is about functional movement.
Right.
And I always say to the people that come into my CrossFit class, everything that you do today here, I can relate it into something that you're going to do outside of the gym.
Okay.
And I think that it's really important to know why you're doing something.
Well, like carrying your shopping bags or something?
Exactly. We have something called a farmer's carry, where you have 2 kettlebells and you hold them here and you walk, and that's carrying your shopping.
That is amazing.
So everything, like if you think of a deadlift, okay, you're picking something up off the floor. Right. How often we just lifted the chairs and moved the chairs. Yeah,
true.
It's the same.
It's like this amazing setting, which is actually in Bron's apartment, by the way. And if you can't see this little lovely vegan sign over there, some very appropriate decoration going on.
It's everywhere. Like everywhere there's a bit of vegan.
You couldn't really come in here and be like, oh, are you vegan? Really?
No.
Anyway, back to CrossFit.
Yeah, back to CrossFit. So, like, if you're lifting something and putting it up on a shelf, you know, that's like a clean and a press. So I always say that there's a reason that we're doing something, and it's a lifestyle. It's to help you in your life. It's not just I'm going into the gym, 100 bicep curls. No. I mean, those isolated like movements are great accessory work to do, but I don't see it as a good way to improve your lifestyle by just going into a gym and
I mean, it's funny when you see everyone go to the gym, like no one knows what they're doing. No. Everyone just goes there and does what everyone else is doing. Yeah. And no one would go and play tennis or go swimming without taking lessons.
Exactly.
And so it is good that there are these things in place that are more functional, you know, you injure yourself as well.
100%. And honestly, for me, it doesn't matter if you've done CrossFit before or not. Like, you come into my class, I start everybody at the same level. So we go through the skill work and whatever movement we're going to do in the WOD or the workout at the end.
I learned that word recently. WOD.
Yeah,
I was like, WOD. I was like, what does that mean?
Workout of the day. Yeah. So at the end of the class, there's always a WOD, and it can differ. You know, it can be 6 minutes. It can be 20 minutes, but at the end of the 6 minutes and at the end of the 20 minutes, you're in the same state. Okay. So it's all relative, you know, different intensities. We work different energy systems. Like, it's incredible.
Is it accessible to everyone? Or?
Yeah, 100%. Because
when you see pictures of CrossFit, it's just a lot of ripped people that are like insanely fit.
And anybody can do it. Yeah. I say so if we had the WOD, right? Somebody came in and had an injury or some sort of disability that restricted them from doing the full movements. If I had an elderly person, an athlete, and then just a regular, you know, average Joe walks in, these 4 people, I'd be able to scale the workout appropriately for everybody. Okay. So that they walk out the gym all getting having the same effect from that workout, or the same impact. Yeah,
and I recently did an episode with John, the mega vegan in Manchester. Yeah, and he's 63 years old, and he does calisthenics. Yeah. So it's all similar. It seems to be a similar approach. There's no weights involved.
Yeah. So calisthenics is all body weight stuff. I did calisthenics, very very basic calisthenics before I got into CrossFit.
Right.
So yeah, it's all body weight.
Yeah.
It's all body weight.
I mean, he's insane. He's 63 and is fitter than
insane.
anyone I've ever met. So
we have a couple of men that are in their 60s that come and do CrossFit, and it just makes my heart like so warm.
Yeah.
Some of them, they're stronger than like people my age in there. They're doing muscle ups, they're doing pull ups, they're lifting super heavy, and I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah, and John's vegan as well, by the way,
that's awesome.
as are you. So you can obviously, it is totally possible on a CrossFit,
100%.
Yeah.
Like I started CrossFit and I went vegan pretty much at the same time. So I don't really know one without the other. But I did start exercising and following some sort of exercise program or whatever routine before I went vegan.
Yeah.
And I found the most drastic changes happened when I went vegan. I had more energy. I was able to lift more. I felt stronger. I felt more efficient and effective, like in the gym.
Which is strange because the gym world is dominated by this meat-eating, protein, chicken breast world.
No. It makes me not angry because before I was vegan, I thought the same. I thought the same thing. But you can get protein from plants, so why not get it from that source rather than putting it through another animal and then getting your protein?
Yeah, and it's a more direct source and it's a healthier source as well. You're not getting the saturated fats. You're not getting the salt, the hormones and all that stuff.
And all that. Yeah, 100%. My sister and her boyfriend are both vegan, and they are amazing CrossFit coaches and CrossFit athletes. Incredible. My sister she's calisthenics based, yoga based, and CrossFit.
Whoa. Superhero style.
She might be next on your podcast.
She should come join us. Yeah.
They're in South Africa at the moment. Otherwise, I would have told.
Well, next time in South Africa, I'll go and have a chat with her.
Yeah. So she actually they measure all their intakes and calculate everything. I don't do that, but because of how they compete and the level of the athlete that they are, they calculate all that stuff to make sure that they're getting what they need and as effective as possible and to be as efficient as possible with their energy and their fuel and all that. She actually told me the other day, she's like, Bron, I'm actually getting too much protein in my diet. I was like, that's so funny.
Too much protein on a
she's
vegan diet.
I'm on a vegan diet, she's getting too much protein.
What's the risk of that?
I don't think they're really...
I've heard it's bad for your liver and it's the way that your body processes it.
Yeah, but I think the protein that she's getting in, I don't think it has as much like danger as if you're eating too much of like animal protein. I don't know. She just adjusted it slightly and then. So
where do you get your protein from? Go on, tell us one last time.
Plants.
What are your main sources of protein?
I can recite that rap by Kyle O'Sullivan.
Oh yeah. Actually, I'll put a link to that.
Yeah, I love that. Like I know it word for word. Well, it's been a while since I sang it, but
I have to put you on the spot for that.
No, not now.
Not now.
No,
okay.
We'll do it. We'll have a rehearsal and then we'll do it.
We'll jam. We'll do a session.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I don't calculate everything.
Right.
I'm the type of person, like, I love my food so much. Like,
well, those pancakes were amazing this morning.
They're so good. Yeah. They're so good. So when I went vegan, it was like, I'm never going to do something that's going to restrict me from enjoying my food. Like, before I was vegan, I tried to go on diets. Like, I was quite heavily overweight. So I tried to go on diets and tried all these different things. And I was just like, oh, this diet's telling me to cut out all my carbs. This diet's telling me to cut this out. Like, I don't want to be on these diets that's restricting me from enjoying my food.
Yeah.
Then I go vegan. And in my head before that was like, well, vegan, like, what do you eat? You have to cut out everything if you're vegan. Like, but so now I just went on this adventure with cooking and was just like, okay, everything that I enjoyed eating before I was vegan, how can I make that vegan? So it was almost like an experiment every time in the kitchen. Like, okay, I'm going to make lasagna. Okay, how am I going to make a vegan
That's really
lasagna?
easy, actually, the lasagna one.
Super easy.
And tastes even better.
Mm-hmm. And then I was like, oh, okay, I can use this same mince that I'm making for my lasagna, and I can do cottage pie, we can do tacos, we can do this, like, you know, spaghetti bolognese, like, okay, all right, now curries, like, how can I make a good curry? Easy. Like,
and that's why, like, people always confuse vegan as a diet, because you can literally eat as much as you want. Like, I don't count any of my calories, and I've never been skinnier. I've never eaten so much food, but it's just I've cut out all the fats and all of the from the meat and all the bad stuff that my body couldn't possibly digest as well. Never been healthy for it. And so many elite athletes now are going vegan.
Heaps
Yeah,
of them.
Lewis Hamilton he's vegan.
Yeah.
There's also Kyrie Irving, basketball players, a few Premier League footballers, Djokovic.
Quite a lot of CrossFitters as well, like higher end CrossFitters try plant-based. I think people just feel better on it.
Yeah.
So your digestive system is working the way it's supposed to work. So you feel better. You're not heavy. You're not bloated. You're not like sluggish. Like everything just feels better when your body is digesting the way it's supposed to.
I was looking on the www.crossfit.com website to try and do a little bit of research for this, to know a little bit what I'm going to be talking about. And there's a few different like quotes, and it was like, CrossFit is a lifestyle characterized by safe, effective exercise and sound nutrition. Which makes sense. I mean, we covered the exercise part and sound nutrition. But then Greg Glassman, who's the founder of CrossFit, he says, eat meat and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, and no sugar, which is ultimately encouraging a paleo diet.
Yes, because we were looking at this yesterday, because I was like, oh no, he's going to start talking about paleo. I was like, Shah, what's paleo? Like, everybody throws that word around, paleo, keto, all these things. I'm just like...
Hunter-gatherer.
No, I don't know. It doesn't work for me. I mean,
paleo, it's a diet that limits foods, and it's become common about 10,000 years ago.
You can be vegan paleo, can't you?
I don't know. I mean, probably you can be vegan keto, so I suppose you can be. Yeah.
Because the way I understood it was, okay, it's sort of different. It's based on where you are, sort of like in the world, you know? So like back in the caveman times, in that area, what was going to be available to you? Yeah. So some parts of the world were more plant-based, some parts were more on animal protein. So I guess like you could adjust a paleo diet to be. Yeah,
true. You'd have to make that relevant to where you are in the world as well. Like here in Dubai, I don't know what you'd probably...
What are you going to... Dates?
Dates and sand is probably the...
Oh, good one.
full of protein.
Yeah, low carb.
So I found that interesting when they're talking about sound nutrition, and then they're encouraging a paleo diet, and there's been no real long-term studies into whether or not that's good for us. Yeah. And it's tough to say this is what people were eating 20,000 years ago. So you should do it now.
But we're completely... It's such a difficult and I think touchy subject because this is what we're saying. So we're saying, okay, paleo, you're trying to say 20,000 years ago we should be eating like that, but obviously we're completely different and we're living in a different world. But then as vegans, we're like, well, we shouldn't be eating meat 20,000 years ago. But
that's different because now we have a choice. Yeah. And the fact that we chose to be vegan is not from a health perspective in most cases, even though clearly health has benefited. Yeah. But then you have the morality of it and the ethical choice of going vegan.
Exactly.
So
then you have to be able to relate it and talk to people that honestly don't care about the ethical side of being vegan. And they're like, well, I want to do what's best for my body. And I'm like, okay, well, go vegan. Like, this is what's going to... And I always say to people, try it. Try it. Because before, I'd have people throwing numbers at me and figures at me and do this, do that. Like... That's not motivating for me. For me, it's like I have to see it to believe it.
And emotion as well. I mean, if you can say last year 70 billion animals were murdered and slaughtered for food, but in your mind, how much bigger is 70 billion to 7 billion? You don't relate to those numbers in the same way. It's very tough. So everyone's selfish. I mean, we're all selfish. We're all looking out for ourselves first. And if people feel that they benefit from the health aspect of it, then they might try it, and then you might consider the ethical side of it as well.
So I always say that people will go vegan for one of three reasons. Yeah. Either for the animals, either for their health reasons, or for the environment. Right. I say you'll go vegan for one of these reasons, but you will stay vegan for all of those reasons. So I have that tattooed here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it says, I'm vegan for the animals, I'm vegan for the planet, and I'm vegan for our health.
You got some cool tattoos.
Thank you.
Any more recently since last 2 months?
Yeah, I got the jellyfish.
Yeah.
So there's one here, 2 jellyfish here.
Why the jellyfish?
Funny story. So
there's always a funny story about the jellyfish.
This is my animal arm, right? So it's all my. I have a pig and the cow, all my vegan animals on here. So I like to say, like, I like to have animals that people would eat. Okay. So when someone's like, "Oh, that pig's so cute," like it's so, I love it, and I'm like, "Oh, but bacon though, right?"
Yeah.
You know, like
bacon jokes, funny. Watch Dominion first 15 minutes. That'll change your mind.
Yeah. I've not seen it yet.
I don't blame you.
It's the one I'm normally open to watching all of those, and it's the one that I'm holding back slightly. Earthlings traumatized me a lot, so I think if Dominion is.
I mean, it is what it is, isn't it?
So the jellyfish. So for my birthday, we went to Oman for a night, and just to get away from everything, and you go and you spend the whole day out in a dhow, and you go snorkeling, and there's wild like dolphins, and then you sleep and stay the night on the boat, and it's incredible. There's no like electricity, there's no reception for your phone, there's no internet, it's just stars everywhere, and you're out in the middle of nowhere. It's amazing. It's incredible. So we went and did that, and as we're going out, like on the dhow at the beginning of the day, there was jellyfish. I have never seen so many jellyfish in one place in my life. Like, we started counting them. Like, when the boat was still, we looked out and we counted, I think, like 200 jellyfish just everywhere. And the boat stopped, and he's like, "Hey, like, off you go swimming." And we were like,
"Nope.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Not
There's
today.
no way I'm getting in there with these jellyfish." And he's like, "They don't sting you." And I was like, "Come on." He's like, "They won't sting you." So I like get in, and these things, they're incredible. But I did research on them because I wanted jellyfish tattooed on me because I saw these two, and I was like, "Oh, they'd be awesome." But I was like, are they actually like a sentient being? Are they animals? And the more I researched into them, it's that, I mean, they don't have a brain. They don't have...
Sounds like humans.
Yeah, they don't have a heart, like most humans.
Yeah.
And the more I looked into it, I was like, they don't feel pain. They're more like a plant than they are an animal.
Right.
So they react to stimuli. And so like, you know, these Venus flytrap plants, it's more like that than like an actual animal. So I was like a bit reluctant to get them tattooed because for me, like, all my tattoos have some sort of meaning and connection. And I was like, if I'm walking around saying this is my vegan arm, but these ones don't actually, they're not sentient beings.
Yeah, you can't really just rub it off then.
Exactly. So we get in, and I was like, this is an experience that I am never going to forget.
Yeah.
We were swimming with like hundreds of jellyfish. They didn't sting, but Shah had a reaction to them. I had a delayed reaction to them. So I had quite...
More of an allergy kind of thing.
like a rash came up.
Yeah.
And the doctor was like, what actually happens is, even though they don't sting you, they release like a toxin in the water around them, which you can still react to, even though it's not like a sting.
Makes sense.
And I was like, whoa. So I was just swimming around in like jellyfish poison for like 2 hours. So that's where the jellyfish tattoo comes from.
Cool, lovely story about the jellyfish. Loving the tattoos. But back to the essentials of it. I mean, you mentioned in the short 2-minute video that we did why you became vegan for the animals, but I wanted to get more into that of how you got to being vegan today. Yeah.
So it all happened pretty quick. It literally, I think that has a lot to do with my personality as well. I'm quite an intense person in that if I'm going to do something,
I hadn't noticed at all.
if I'm going to do something, I'm going to commit to it, and I'm going to do it. So I never sort of like half-ass anything. So someone asked me the question. She said, you know, you work with animals. Like, I worked for Dubai Kennels and Cattery. I was an animal handler, worked with domestic animals. love animals. You know, if someone, you know, asks about me, it's one of the first things I would say was like, oh, I love animals. I've grown up around animals.
They've got tattooed on your body. I mean,
this all happened from when I went vegan.
Okay.
So the day I went vegan, I got my first tattoo. So again, the intensity in 2 years. Yeah.
You can't back out after that.
No. Yeah, it's here. So yeah, she said, okay, well, if you love animals so much, like, why do you eat them? And I was like, what? Like, what?
Because we do. That's what we do.
Was like, well,
everyone does.
Yeah, but I don't eat the dogs. She's like, but why don't you? What's the difference? And the way she said it was so just simple.
Yeah.
It sort of like, it like hit me. I was like, well, no one's actually ever asked me that before. No one's ever put it to me like that before.
And they say pigs are the 5th most intelligent animal.
So intelligent.
Smarter than dogs.
Yeah. Yeah. And so why are we making that connection towards dogs and having them as these companions and, you know, part of the family, calling them our children and our babies and all of that, but then taking an animal that's actually smarter? Not that that really has anything to do with it.
I'm not saying we should choose for intelligence.
No, but, you know, putting them in these cages and torturing them and all this sort of stuff and murdering them, and then it's just second nature to have that with breakfast.
I mean, I've never eaten dog.
No.
But people have told me dog tastes just as good as lamb or just as good as any other meat.
Yeah.
But then when you mention to people, why don't you eat dogs, it becomes such an uproar.
Yeah.
There are so many people
so offended.
Petitioning against the Yulin Festival and against in China and South Korea where they do eat dog meat, which I don't agree with, I don't support. No. But the same people who are fighting to save those dogs are going to turn around and eat pork or eat beef.
Exactly.
So that's where I struggle to understand.
That's a huge thing. I think it's perspective, and it's this huge disconnect, because those people that are petitioning against, you know, the Yulin Festival and everything, they have dogs in their home. They have this everyday connection to these alive beings, you know, and they get to know them and you form these relationships with them. You go to the supermarket, what you take off the shelf doesn't look like anything of where that meat actually came from.
Yeah, it's even been renamed.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't say that pig flesh.
Yeah.
Like it says bacon, or, you know, it's beef.
Yeah, and where did the word bacon come from?
I have no idea. Like,
I should research that.
You should, actually. You should. So I think it's this massive disconnect of, like, what's in front of them on their plate doesn't look like anything. Like, if they had, you know, a lamb's body on their plate, you know, a little baby lamb, I think people, you know, you're not going to eat
There's a really good video that's going around at the moment on Facebook, and it's like these people in a restaurant, and the guy orders like pork, and they take him into this room, and there's a pig, and he has to kill the pig. Yeah. Have you seen that video?
No, but I've put a link to it. I've seen similar videos
it's
like that.
It's really powerful because then at the end of the video, like the meat is on his plate, and then you see it, and then you're relating it back to that pig, and he's thinking about the pig. It's true that when we're in front of food, we don't
100%.
We don't think about it at all.
As much, I love my parents to bits, and they support my sister and I in everything that we do, and they love us. And, you know, Mum, she waves her little vegan flag, even though she's not, you know, she'll back us in, you know, our fight with veganism and all this stuff. And I said to my dad, I was like, but, you know, what you're eating, like, it's coming from an animal that was alive. You know,
that
like,
didn't want to die,
like your cat. You know, it's coming from your animal that's alive. He's like, my meat doesn't come from an animal; it comes from Park and Shop. Like, and I'm like, you know, it was a joke, but that's how people see it.
Ignorance and
100%,
blindness to it.
100%.
It's like it's not my fault because it's there.
No, exactly. He's like, oh, I didn't do it, and I was like, I know this is how people get around eating what they eat. You know, well, I didn't do it. But by paying for it, you are funding it.
Yeah, you're literally supporting the torture of animals.
There was this meme, or not meme, but this article or picture or whatever that was going around. And this woman, like, completely went absolutely mental over the fact that in her bucket of fried chicken, there was a chicken head.
Yeah. Like, where's the rest of it coming from?
Yeah. In the pieces of the dead chicken flesh, there was a chicken head, but because it looked like the chicken,
yeah,
she's like, oh my goodness, oh, I can't have that in there. Yeah, but what's the
yeah, I
rest of
saw
it?
that. It was like woman complains about finding chicken in her chicken. Yeah, and also there was one as well. Someone bought ham, and there was like a nipple. And they tried to sue the company, but it's like you're buying an animal's body. How can you expect it not to have body parts on it? It's crazy how we've completely lost any sense of perception when it comes to what we're eating.
I know, it's mad. And that's what opened my mind completely. I was like, why? Like, I never once asked myself that question. I was so quick to judge everybody else. I was like, I thought vegans were just people that ran around like hugging trees.
I wish.
Like, yeah. I was just like, this is, like, okay, vegetarian, okay, I can kind of get it. But I was like, vegans, like, they don't even eat honey. They don't eat cheese or eggs. I was like, yeah, but milk and eggs, that's natural. This is, I was like, that's natural. Nothing happens to those animals. Like, I had no idea about the dairy industry. And the fact that the dairy industry basically funds the meat industry. Like, the two things go hand in hand.
Because every dairy cow will be slaughtered for meat in the end as well.
So I'm like, as a vegetarian, you're actually still supporting the meat industry.
But that's the problem we have as well with veganism, is that there's so much to it, and it never ends.
No.
Even us, I mean, clearly we're vegan and we're proud to be vegan, but there's so much more we can be doing.
100%.
But then it's the fear of perfection, and perfection gets in the way of progress.
Yeah. And
that's what we need to break down.
Yeah, completely. A lot of people will turn to you and say that, oh, but you're vegan, but you still drive a car. I'm like, okay. Like, you can only do so much, and I do, and every day, you try to look for different things that you can change or whatever. But I always say it starts with what you put on your plate.
Yeah,
that's where it starts, and then I think that's the difference between where somebody says that they're plant-based and someone says they're vegan.
Yeah.
Because for me, plant-based is more of a diet. But veganism is
a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's everything. It's going into the shop and going, okay, I'm not buying leather. I don't say to people, go vegan and throw out all your leather. Like, don't do that. Like, still use that stuff, but then your new things that you go towards, like, don't now go.
Yeah, the choices that you make now, but people are like, oh, but you're not perfect. But no one's perfect, are they?
So just because I can't do everything, does that mean I do nothing?
Yeah, and people always find bigger excuses, like, but there are millions of children dying in the world, there are diseases, there's plastic, like, there are so many big problems, and people deem them bigger than animal rights. But if you look at veganism as a whole, they're all together. Like, every vegan person wants a better planet in a whole. It's not just about the food on your plate, it's about everything, compassion towards the universe and the world that we live in.
I think veganism and human rights, it does link.
Yeah.
The way I see it is these factory farms, right? The people that are working in there, that must be a freaking horrible job.
That must be the worst job
the
in the world.
worst job ever. Yeah. And they suffer, like, because it's one of the documentaries I was watching, they spoke about it. These people are depressed, and, like, you would be if you worked in a place like that, surrounded by torture and murder all the time. Like, so I think by shutting these places down and moving away from factory farming and finding other jobs for these people to do, like...
Yeah, I mean, that's where I struggle with it as well. People are like, yeah, but what are the farmers going to do? I mean, no one worries about the slave drivers when slavery ended. Like, but slave drivers don't have any jobs.
What are they going to do now?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll find other jobs for them to do. Like,
it doesn't justify what we're doing. And I was watching a video by, it was Direct Action Everywhere, and, they did, they went into a duck farm. And they locked themselves actually to the chain. So they, like, had these bike locks, and they, like, locked themselves to it.
No way.
And one of them actually got quite seriously injured because one of the employees actually switched the machine on.
So
he was being, like, dragged. They were all being dragged by the neck. It was intense. I'll put a link to that video. Yeah. And so what was I saying about this? Oh yeah. And these people who are working in this duck farm, I mean, most of them are illegal immigrants, so they're being exploited because they don't really have a voice and they can't really choose much. So these companies are benefiting from that. And the conditions that they're in, they're literally just standing there, like, chopping the heads off ducks, like, all day long, and then gutting them, and there's blood everywhere. I mean, it's an outrageous world to live in.
No.
I could not do that. I mean, these people don't. I don't think they want to do it.
No, of course.
But they don't have a choice, and they're being exploited. So it'd be better for them if we moved away from that.
Exactly. So I think it's it's all linked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the more I started thinking about it, and the more I started looking into why, and she said to me, she's like, okay. I was like, all right, you got a point. Now what? Like, how do I just completely switch from I'm living at home, I'm from South Africa, like meat and the whole art of cooking meat is a huge part of my culture.
Yeah, barbecues.
Yeah, braais, as we call them, braais. And, my family, and like, I'm, like, how do I just completely switch? Because that's the type of person I am. It's like, okay, well, now I want to go completely vegan. How do I do this?
And I have a tattoo on my arm, so I have no choice.
Well, not yet. I didn't have it yet. So then she's like, all right, well, watch a couple of these documentaries. Let me know what you think.
Which ones did you watch?
I think it started Dairy's Scary came up because that is one of my favorite sort of, it's not documentaries or clips to show people, because it's only 5 minutes.
Yeah, I always recommend people watch that, because people are not going to watch 2 hours.
Intense 5 minutes though. It's like the amount of information you get in those 5 minutes. The way that video was put together is done so well.
Yeah, Erin Janice did an amazing job with that. It's incredible.
And she does one on the egg industry, which is a bit longer, 20 minutes, if you have the time.
Have the attention span for that.
Yeah, which is also really, really good, because that's another thing. People are like, oh, well, why eggs? Like, chicken just produce eggs. Like, it's natural. Nothing about what happens in the egg industry is natural. It's horrible.
Yeah, I mean, a natural hen in the wild will lay 12 eggs approximately a year. Yeah. And now they're laying 250 to 300 eggs, which through genetic modification, I mean, and the stress it puts on their bodies is awful.
Yeah, absolutely horrible. So yeah, started watching a couple of those. I think Cowspiracy was up there. Is it Forks Over Knives? Yeah. That was a good one too. But the one that completely tipped me over the edge. So about 10 days after thinking about this and all this sort of stuff, I was going on holiday to Bali alone. So it was like this solo trip. I was going on my own, just a bit of traveling, getting away from everything. And while I was there, I watched Gary Yourofsky's speech.
The best speech you'll ever hear.
Yeah, 100% is the best speech you'll ever hear. So I was sitting...
I'm just going to be goosebumps actually thinking about it.
Me too, me too.
Fangirling over Gary Yourofsky.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And what I like about it is that it's just a speech. It's just him standing there. Yeah, there's, I think, a 4-minute video clip halfway through on the dairy industry, but it's not, it's just him breaking everything down and saying, these are the facts. Like, this is it, if we really think about it. And making it simple and going, okay, understandable.
It's just cold truth, isn't it?
100%. Yeah. So, I was sat there on my phone watching it, and that was it. I mean, it's only an hour long as well. It's not a 3-hour documentary or whatever.
Only an hour long. It's changed the rest of your life. That's
100%.
Best hour you've spent in a while.
100%. So I sat there, I watched it, I put my phone down, and I was like, what just happened? Yeah. Like, I couldn't.
And that's not that recent. It's it's been around for a while.
Now. I was like, that has just completely changed my mindset on everything. Yeah. And that was it. The next day, that day, I just decided, I was like, that's it. Like, I'm going to stop eating animals and cheese and eggs and honey. I cut it all out at the same time.
Yeah.
Got home from Bali, traveled, went around Bali, whatever. Bali, I think, is the best place for you to go vegan, because there's vegan options everywhere. Yeah. Absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, a lot of people have their, like, vegan coming out or whatever you want to call it in Bali.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah. So, Gary Yourofsky's speech, big inspiration for a lot of people. Are there any other activists out there or speakers that have tickled your fancy over the couple of years?
I just like seeing more and more people posting about it. Instagram is amazing when it comes to, I think, activism and all that sort of stuff. Like, it's a little bit more difficult to do all the things that I'd like to do, I think, living here.
Actually, next month I'm going to the Anonymous for the Voiceless.
I saw that
I'm going to the
New York.
Cube. Yeah, the week-long Cube. I'll be there for 4 days, not for the whole week.
Amazing.
But, yeah, I'm so excited. It's going to be so good.
Yeah, I do love what they do.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. It's amazing. It's so inspiring what people are doing. It's brave. It's really brave.
It's entirely legal.
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest animal rights organizations now. So, it's...
What I mean by brave is like, it's difficult to go against the norm.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
And that's what I was talking about with Sophie a few episodes ago, about the normalization of activism and getting involved and to like be brave to take that first step.
Yeah.
And she's creating a platform to make it a lot easier.
That's so
called
interesting.
Those Who Love Peace.
Yes.
So that's going to be amazing for everyone who wants to get involved in activism as well.
Amazing.
So.
Yeah, I think it's brave for anybody that steps out and talks about it, even if it's just to your coworker or just your family or anyone. I think that's where activism, like that's where it starts.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to like go and make this huge, big,
Yeah, the global outreach thing of. He's having a blast over there. He's like running all over the place.
So I think it literally just starts with talking about it. And the more you talk about it, the more comfortable you feel.
Yeah.
The more you educate yourself, because the worst thing as a vegan is having a non-vegan say something to you and not know how to respond. Like,
there's nothing wrong with that.
No, but like you always want to be able to... to have an answer. Yeah. And I think that's what pushes me a little bit more with, educating myself on. Yeah.
I was put in that situation a couple of months ago. Yeah. Someone asked me, so like if we all went vegan tomorrow, what would we do with the animals? What would we do with the hundreds of billions of animals that are alive today?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't have a direct answer for that question, because first of all, that's never going to happen.
No.
And that's part of the answer to that question, is because if...
Slowly,
the demand will decrease, so the supply will decrease and will reach that
So you're not going to still be breeding the same amount of animals.
Yeah, and the majority of these animals that are alive are female.
Yeah. So
they won't reproduce even if you were to release them all at the same rate as we are artificially inseminating them. Yeah. So, it's a question for me that has like no sense. It's like if you're on a desert island with a pig, that kind of thing. I got into this last time as well. That's also a question that comes up a lot. I'm like, but that's not what we're facing.
No.
We're in a situation where
we have everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love that. I love what you said. It was like, we have that choice. If you can still get the same taste, because we can, like the Beyond Burger.
If you like the meat replacement products, there's so much.
Exactly, which we do. So if you can get the same taste, the same flavors, the same variety of food. As a vegan, I'm eating way more things than I did before. You just have the same meals before that you just sort of recycle through. But as a vegan, I just find myself being so much more creative. You can get the burgers and the donuts and the cakes.
Yeah, that's what's interesting. You don't even have to change the way you eat, really, because you can eat exactly the same diet. But
so if we have that choice between that and harming animals and getting the same thing, but not just animals harming the environment, harming ourselves, why still choose that? And that's sort of what blew my mind. I was thinking about things like that.
Yeah, there's always an angle to it. It's like with the whole CrossFit and the health thing, like, you can do paleo and maybe you will get better results, but then you can be vegan, probably get the same results, if not better, but then you're not being involved in such cruel practices, you're not supporting industries that are destroying our planet, and your health will probably benefit from it as well.
Yeah.
But you said you were living in Australia for a while.
Yeah,
But you weren't vegan at the time.
No.
Because Australia's amazing for veganism now. Like, they've got so much stuff going on.
When I was there, when was it? 2000 and... I'm trying to think. 2010?
Yeah.
Wow, that long ago. Wow.
It's like 10 years ago now.
Yeah, wow.
Ooh, that's a decade. Getting old, bro.
Yeah, forgot how old I was for a second. Around then, I wasn't vegan. And to be honest, all the places I went to, I don't even think I ever saw any vegan options back then. It's the same as here in the last 2 years.
Oh, it's like mushrooms.
It's mad.
Yeah.
It's absolutely mad. Like, think of the options that I had when I started, being vegan to the options now, it's insane.
Yeah, I mean, so many businesses are now getting on board with it.
And I think a lot of the time, this is not a bad thing because of what the trend is, but a lot of the time with Dubai, they will find a trend and sort of just...
Yeah, they'll latch onto it.
100%.
And they go full on.
Yeah. So it's like the fitness thing, now the vegan thing, and I'm like, brilliant. These are good things.
But it always kind of like raises my blood pressure a little bit when people say, oh, veganism is a trend. It's like, how can you call something that's a shift in people's moral values?
Yes, a trend,
benefiting our planet, a trend.
Yeah.
A trend is like flash mobs. That's a trend. I've been talking a lot about flash mobs.
Or the mannequin challenge. Like
what happened to that? You see, that disappeared. Like, if veganism disappears in the next 2 years, I would be very surprised. It's only going to grow because...
100 people...
Yeah, everyone's
the
getting on
more
board.
people try it,
this
is how they see the benefits of it. You can list all the facts and all the numbers and everything. It's only when people see those, because like you said, we're selfish. The minute you start seeing the benefits that it has to you, that's what is going to keep.
And it's like the big companies as well. They see the benefit financially that they can gain, even if their morals and ethics aren't in the right place.
Yeah.
At least it provides options for people who aren't vegan, which is, I think, is a step in the right direction.
Yeah. So I always just say, try it. Give it 1 month. Don't do vegan for 1 week. Okay. So I'm going to go vegan for a week. No, just like there's a challenge 22. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's great.
Because a lot of people come to me and will say, okay, like I want to try going vegan. Like, will you help me? And I'm like, yes. Like I'm 100% will be there as much as I can, but Challenge 22 is really good because that's going to give them extra support.
Yeah, and the structure's already in place for it, and they give great recipes and suggestions. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's why I have my also, like, because I had just the one Instagram account, Bron the Vegan, and I was posting food stuff on there, and quite a lot of people would message me and be like, you need a blog, you need this, and I was like, look, I'm not going to do a blog. Like, I like Instagram, so, and I think people are already on Instagram. They don't really want to go away. Like,
I mean, websites nowadays, I feel like no one really has a website. I mean, a lot of people do have blogs and stuff, but then it's posting snippets back onto Facebook,
it's
Instagram,
so
and TikTok.
Like,
my new favorite.
I see that, but I haven't been on it. I don't know what it.
We're too old for TikTok.
I think so. Now that I realized how old I am, I think so I created Vegan by Bron. And just put all my recipes and like just if I'm cooking something, I was like, I'll do a post on this or a highlight and stuff because I want to show people that how easy it is to.
But how do you like hashtag it though? Because that's something that I'm trying to figure out with Instagram. Is like if I put a post, like I put a post of this clip of us talking about Vegan by Bron and about the food blogging thing. So if I put like hashtag food blogging, everyone who's obviously looking for food blogging is going to find that.
Yes.
But then I want to reach people who aren't already vegan.
So on the Bron the Vegan page, it's a private account. So I don't hashtag on there because I don't think, unless I'm completely mistaken, you can't really hashtag on private accounts because if people...
Well, no one would see it because it's only people that you accept to follow you that can follow you.
So I don't hashtag on that account because it's private. But on my Vegan by Bron page, I try to make it relevant, obviously, to food and vegan food. And not just like one that I use like vegan for the animals or vegan for life, or it doesn't have to be like directly linked to food. To being vegan. But then, like you were saying, you want to get not only vegans to your page, you want people that aren't vegan to come and see how easy it is to cook vegan food and that we don't just eat.
Because I mean, with this one, I'll probably put like hashtag CrossFit. People who follow CrossFit, they'll probably see clips of this video and then they're like, oh, you can do CrossFit and be vegan. And then maybe it'll link onto the episode just to kind of bring people in.
So you might have to get a bit creative with the hashtags that you're using, but also like the minute you start putting a hashtag in, it will give you suggestions as well. So then you can see how many posts are on each hashtag. So sometimes you don't want a hashtag that has got so many posts because then it might get lost.
Drowned out.
So you kind of have to find.
That's I might just hire you as my social media.
I do enjoy it.
Yeah.
I do enjoy.
Yeah, you're quite active on Instagram.
I do enjoy the impact that it can have on your life, because it completely changed my life too. It also, like, in terms of the fitness side of things, it kind of makes you accountable for like what you do. The minute you start posting about what you're doing in the gym and whatever, like, people start following you. You're like, okay, well, now I
keep it up. Yeah, because you post a lot of videos of you at the gym and
because I like to show
workouts,
that you know, vegans, like, we're not all like unable to lift, or we can't build muscle, and we can't
that's
do that.
what I find very inspiring about your story, is like you're not the typical vegan. Like when we look at you, you know, you're not like super skinny, tree hugger, or whatever stereotype people have of vegan people.
Yeah, exactly. So I like to show that you know, we can still do all of that. And I have a couple of clients in the gym, PT clients, that are vegan as well.
And you have very good attire for it as well, with your vegan as fuck t-shirt, which is and you're always wearing vegan attire, aren't you?
All the time. Like, we have a uniform in the gym that we have to wear. Like, we have our t-shirts and shirts and stuff, but when I'm training, or if I'm joining in a class, it's like I have a few vegan t-shirts in my bag, and it's like, ooh, which one today? Like, I have some that aren't very appropriate for the gym or Dubai, so, you know, a little bit need to be censored.
A little bit politically correct.
But I do love vegan t-shirts. Like, I love them. Like,
and like, how do you deal with it socially in the gym? Because I mean, like we mentioned earlier, it's a big meat eating, protein driven world.
I never, you know, apart from my t-shirts, I don't bring it into the classes as a coach. Everybody knows I'm vegan, but I never start the class like, okay, so...
I wasn't born vegan. You don't start it with the whole...
Yeah, exactly. This is why we have to be vegan today.
Yeah.
Like, I don't do that.
Footage of animals slaughtering in the
just
background.
on the wall. So I'm a very open person, and people know that they can come and talk to me about anything. So a lot of the time, I will have members come up to me and be like, you're vegan, aren't you? I'm like, yeah. And then like, okay, well, I'm vegetarian, but I'm looking at going, you know, cutting dairy out. Like, what should I do? And then I start talking about different brands of cheese, if they want to replace the cheese, and milk, and, you know, or, yogurts and stuff and whatever, and all the different options that they have, and this is where you can buy it. And so I do bring it in that way.
So you're providing solutions?
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
More than preaching?
Exactly. So, or some people just, like, oh, you know, I want to know a bit more about veganism. They'll just come up to me and just ask me. And I'm like, this is awesome. But
and you're like,
I'm like, okay.
What do you want?
Yeah, exactly. But then a lot of the time you get the people that will throw vegan jokes at you and whatever. And I try to let it go, try to be professional, try to be like, okay, but bacon though. Okay, oh, tell me one I haven't heard, please.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, all right, if you can, you know, come up with a joke that I haven't heard before, because, I mean, as vegans, we hear the same.
Yeah,
the same
and the thing is, like, you have to take it with a grain of salt. Like, if we just get super aggressive and defensive,
in the beginning, I was, you know, I was the angry vegan. And I think we all go through that stage of like, because when you start being vegan, your mind is just so like blown by everything of like, oh, I've been lied to my whole life.
Yeah, like, you just want to shout that message
out. And I
just
want everybody to know. And but then you're not going to win people over that way, and people aren't going to listen to you if you're just screaming at them.
Yeah.
So, and it's the same when people come to me and they're just throwing all these like jokes at me. And you're just like, okay, well, can you just a second so I can actually respond? Like,
give me a chance.
Just give me a chance.
Yeah.
Like,
if people are open to dialogue, then that's fine.
100%.
It's when people just like, they just
and you
want
have to pick and choose your battles. Sometimes you're just like, look, I'm never gonna get through to this person.
Maybe you will, but just not today.
Yeah. This is not going to happen today. This is all that they just want to throw jokes at you, and you're just like, just let it go. Yeah. Just let it go. I just like people to walk away from a conversation with a little bit of a seed planted in there. So the next time they walk into a supermarket or they think about what they're going to do for dinner or for lunch or whatever.
Yeah, you want to get that ball rolling, don't you?
It just slightly sparks something. And so many of my friends that aren't vegan will be in the supermarket or be somewhere, and they'll see vegan, whatever, and they take photos of it and they send it to me. Oh, I thought of you today.
But did they buy it?
Well, I don't know. I don't go to that extent of asking, but as you know, it sparks that thought in people's minds. And in the supermarkets now, they have so many more ready-made meals, and it's making it easier. I'm like, okay, awesome, vegan carbonara, pick it up.
Give it a try.
Give it a try. I love having people around here. I love cooking for people and everything, just to show people that.
Well, they do say the way to people's heart is through the stomach, isn't it? So, I mean, if you can show them that you can do it and lead by example and be a good person and be nice and you're vegan, then like, if you can do it, everyone can do it. And I think that's what we have to try and show people.
100%.
And also for the animals, like, we are what they have to support them and to try and save them from the life that they're in now. So if we can talk to people in a measured way and provide information and not get angry, because if we show ourselves as aggressive and angry people
don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah, they're a bit afraid of it.
Whereas, reluctant to go down that.
Whereas if people see, look, well, she's a CrossFit trainer, fit, normal, relatively normal human being.
Don't think anyone will ever describe me as normal.
Maybe normal is not functional human beings. And you can do it. I think it's the best way for us 100%. To get the message across.
I mean, I was making fun of vegans like it was my job. Yeah. Like 3 weeks before, or about a month or so before I went vegan, a friend of my sister's was vegan. She worked at a poke restaurant here. And I remember walking into there and in front of everybody in the restaurant, like blatantly just making fun of the fact that she was vegan, like in front of everyone, and like laughing and everything, and she just didn't do it. She didn't retaliate. She didn't say anything. And she was a friend of mine, and she was a friend of my sister's, and then I did this in front of everybody. And then I went off to Bali and, became vegan, and I went back to that restaurant like a month later or whatever, and I apologized to her, and I was like, I am so sorry. Like,
what did she say?
She was like, thank you, I accept your apology, but she's like, honestly, the best way for you to apologize is what you're doing now, is your opened your mind and you educated yourself, and now you're making the right choices. Like, this is the best way you can apologize to me, is by what you're doing. And I was like, whoa, like, that's awesome. Wow.
But it's funny because when I did the interview with Sophie, who's the regional organizer for Anonymous the Voices in Switzerland, she was telling me that the story in high school that she like threw bacon at someone. I'm like, that is bad. And you see how people can change. And
I used to make fun of people that were exercising. Like, if I saw someone running down the road, like my first thing that I do, my defense mechanism was to make fun of them. Or people that went to the gym, and like, I was like, it doesn't matter the size I am, I'm funny, people like me, like, you know what, I don't need to be skinny, I don't need to be fit, like, I'm fine the way I am.
Which is true, in a way.
I think, yes, but it was also, I was very unhealthy. I was 25 years old, over 110 kilos, and I couldn't walk from my desk to the bathroom, which was maybe 50 meters away, without being in insane pain, like in my hips, in my ankles, my knees. And I was like, I'm walking like I'm, in my late 80s, but I'm 25 years old. Like, something has to change, and I grew up as a very fit person, very active childhood. We were forever playing outside and climbing trees and riding bikes. I was a competitive swimmer up until I was like 16. And then when all of that sort of stopped and I gained weight, but then I was like, oh, this is just who I am. Like,
I mean, the transformation that you've been through in the past few years is incredible. And so if you could say something to the non-vegans that are still listening to this, who are probably quite interested, inspired by your story, what would you say to them?
About going vegan, or about exercising, or just about
anything you want to say to them?
I think that it's very easy to put up that wall and to put up that sort of, everybody has their own defense thing, and finding an excuse not to do something. There'll always be a reason not to do something, like I said, I see someone go to the gym, or on the transformation pictures, things that I post now. When I was on Facebook and I was on Instagram, I like unfollow that person.
Why?
Or because I'd be like almost intimidated by the fact that they can make that change. And I was like, oh, I'm too far gone now. Like, I'm not going to be able to come back from this. I just have to accept that this is who I am. And when I realized at that point of how much pain I was in, I said to my sister, I was like, I need help. And I think that's the first step, is it has to come from you. In any change that you make in your life, whether it's you're trying to go vegan or trying to lose weight or become more healthy and whatever, we always want to strive to be the best version like of ourselves. But any change that you make, it has to come from you. If I sat across here and I told you, you have to do this, you have to do that, like, you're not going to do it.
No.
Like, it has to come from you.
Even
like
if I tell myself to do something, I usually don't do it anyway.
My parents would be like, have you joined a gym yet? Have you joined a gym yet? Like, come for a walk. Let's go to this boot camp. And I'd be like, no, I'm fine. But then one day when I looked in the mirror and I was like, I don't even recognize that person anymore who is looking back at me, something like flicks in your head and you're like, now I need to make a change. And I say start with little things. Don't try and, I am intense, like I said, and I did switch completely to like a vegan lifestyle and diet. But in terms of exercise and diet, I think trying to do both things at the same time can be very overwhelming for somebody. Right. So pick one. Decide, are you going to change your diet first, or are you going to go down the exercise route? For me, the exercise worked best, because the more you are exercising, the better you start feeling about yourself and the better you want to eat.
Yeah, it's a whole
exactly.
together, isn't it?
So if you're eating crap food, you're going to feel crap and you're not going to train well in the gym. So the more I started exercising, I subconsciously started making healthier decisions in terms of what I was eating. So this happened like 2 years before I went vegan. Right. So it was for about 2 years. I did the calisthenics and I did all that thing. And then I got into CrossFit and veganism. And so I just think reach out to someone. Like, if you literally, some people are like, I don't even know where to start. Okay?
Reach out to me, reach out to Bron.
That's why Instagram is so good. I have people reaching out to me all the time. Like, okay, I want to get fit.
Yeah, I mean, you see your story. It's like, it's crazy what you've been through and everything you've done. And people are like, oh, well, let's give it a shot, you know? So, I mean...
If I can, and I know everyone says this, if I can do it, anyone can do it. Like, legit. If I can go from being the person that I was super angry and depressed and just, like, fighting everything to change. If I can make the change, anybody can. And it's not going to happen like that. Like, it does take time. And I say, trust the process. Yeah. Have fun with it. Enjoy what you do. A lot of people are like, okay, but I'm looking for that end goal. Yeah. Like, I'll be happy when I've lost 35 kilos. I'll be happy when I can do this. When I get that. Like, but once you have that, you're going to be wanting to reach for something else. And that happiness sort of keeps getting further and further away.
So enjoy the process.
Have fun with what you're doing. Like, people in the gym are like, oh, I'm never going to be able to do this. Like, when am I going to be able to do that? When can I do? I was like, just keep coming every day, you know, have fun. I was like, are you enjoying it here? Yeah, I love it. I love coming here. This is like the best part of my day. Okay, well then keep going with that. Like, just have fun. Like, if we put in the effort in and put in the work in, it has to happen. Like, it has to.
It does, yeah. You only fail when you give up, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. And the worst part of stopping is starting again. Like,
that's deep.
Yeah, it is, though. Because the hardest part, I think, of starting something, you know, I say, like, after the first class, when someone comes to one of my classes, I'm like, you have just done the hardest bit. Yes, the workouts are still going to be difficult. Yes, it's going to be intense. But the hardest thing you just did was walking in here. Like, and I think as an adult, it's very difficult to try something new. Yeah. As kids, we try things new all the time. Like, that's just like growing up. You try, you know. But as an adult, you kind of get set in your ways. And when someone, especially that hasn't really exercised before and is a little bit overweight, walks into the gym, and they do their first class with me, I was like, I'm so proud of you. Like, that is the hardest thing, is stepping into the gym. Yeah. Because when I first started exercising, it was like, okay, I'll only go to a gym once I've lost weight.
That kind of defeats the purpose.
That's the most ridiculous thing. Yeah. Like, I was like, okay, I'm going to go run on the beach track, you know, 5 times a week, and I'm going to lose weight because then...
That's true, because you only see fit people in the gym.
Exactly, right?
But why are they fit? Because they're in the gym.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was like, this is the most ridiculous thing ever. Like, later on, when I thought about that, I was like, it's so silly.
Yeah.
Like, that's how we get fit. Like, some people are like, I have to be fit to do CrossFit. No, you don't. Anybody can walk into the gym and join my class. Anybody. Like, I love that challenge. I was like, have you done CrossFit before? They're like, nope. I'm like, yes.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
Go wait. So, like, we got handstands
I might join
today.
you, actually.
You should.
I should join you.
Definitely. Yeah. And bring Tamar.
Yeah,
because I keep telling her to come.
Jamal, have to come with me to CrossFit with Bron.
And Natalie.
Yeah, bring her.
Vegan diet. Bring her. Like, I love it.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to come. Well, Bron, thank you so much for talking to me. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you so much.
It was fun. I mean, we've been talking for a long time. I think it's been like over an hour now. Yeah. So I have to bring you back for another episode soon, so we can just keep on chatting.
Bring the family.
Bring everyone. Yeah. All right.
Cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, tune in next week for another episode of the Plank Code Podcast. Have a lovely day. Bron, thank you once again.
Thank you.
And find her on Instagram at Bron the Vegan. I'll put the links down below. Thank you and bye-bye.